While you're on fire, go for it.
Okay, so there should be my first screen. So what I'm saying here is drones are playing an increasing role in the farming industry across the world. In the UK, there is an understanding of drones and what they can do. However, the take-up is slower than expected. I think that the larger farms, the larger estates are using it, but they are only a small percentage. Why do I think that is? Because there isn't one body that's representing the agricultural drone sector, pushing that message towards the various farming organizations. So really the $64 million question is, could you make a good living from agricultural drones in the next 12 months? I would say no. But after that 12 months, I think there is definite scope that a career could be made. So with the global population growing, we need to produce more food. I think the global population is going to increase by 3 to 4 billion over the next 20, 30 years. And I think we need to produce an extra 60% more food. Now, unless we colonize the moon and start planting crops up there, the only way that we'll be able to produce more food is by becoming more productive. So by integrating precision agriculture, I think is one of the main ways of increasing that farming and food production productivity. So what is precision agriculture? Precision agriculture is a method of farming that uses technology, so that's GPS, drones, sensors, soil sampling, to produce food more effectively. Precision agriculture helps farmers make the right decisions at the right time in the right place. Drones, as part of that, can provide farmers with the base data they need to make these decisions at a local, low altitude level as part of a wider precision agricultural system. So you can get satellite data, but it is taken from a satellite. So a drone flies obviously a lot lower than a satellite and gets more definition, defined images and data, which can be used by the farmers. So here's an example I'd like to show you of a local field that I flew in May of this year. It's a 29-acre field, and the flight was flown at 200 foot, taking 19 minutes to complete and capturing over 250 images. Then by taking those images from the drone or the SD card on the drone and uploading those images into a precision agricultural platform, the images are stitched together to produce the images that you can see above. So the top image is a ortho mosaic, which you can see there's some definition there in the different rows. And the second image is by using an algorithm which has been created specifically for RGB sensors, which is what I was using at the time. So as you can see, there's kind of 3 different colors there. You've got your green, you've got yellow and red. So red, green, yellow, red, amber, green is easy way to define it. This is what this is showing is the healthiest plants within that field. So the green are the healthiest plants, the yellow is the middle, and the red is obviously the unhealthiest plants. What it's not showing is which plants have a disease, but it's saying which plants are the healthiest within that field. And then by further analyzing it, you can create a zone. Again, if you look at the 2 images together, you can almost see where those zones are. And by using variable rate technology, the farmer, agronomist, contractor can apply appropriate levels of fertilizer, pesticides, which can be sprayed against those zones. So the example I've used here is in the green areas, you'd apply 10 kilos per hectare. For the yellow areas, 20 kgs, and orange 30. So you'd apply more in the red and yellow areas than you would the green. You may have a base at the moment which might be 10 kg a hectare, but if you apply more in the areas that aren't as healthy, you've got a greater chance of getting a more standard yield across the field. So from this, the map can be exported into a shapefile, and that can then be uploaded into the tractor sprayer software, and the appropriate rates would be applied throughout the field. Okay, so Hummingbird Technologies, who are a leading UK agricultural agri-tech company, just completed a recent trial on a 10-acre field, 10-acre patch of oilseed rape, and this was to test their VRT technology. So on a standard flat rate on their base, the rate applied was 240 kilos of nitrogen per hectare, and using their software and algorithms, they were able to reduce that down to 186 kgs. There was a slight increase in the harvest yield, but the cost of nitrogen per hectare was reduced by £49 per hectare, which is quite a significant saving on nitrogen without any loss of yield, with actually a small increase in the yield. With the data collection cost of £4.50 per hectare, but over the 10-acre trial, they were able to save £445. So a lot of people would be expecting, well, if you use variable rate technology, you're actually going to be able to increase the yield. It's very difficult to prove, because you'd need to have you need to run it basically over 2 years with exactly the same weather conditions to prove that one way or the other. But I think in terms of identifying a benefit and showing a benefit to the farming community, the fact that you could save £445 on a 10-acre trial plot is a good enough reason to at least try it, at least adopt it, and try it for a year or so in a small area. So a common myth is that drones are only useful during growth and the harvest and the harvest times in arable. The fact is, drones can be used from pre-planting all the way through to harvest. So in the next couple of slides, I've broken it down into the bits and pieces that you can do throughout the year. So between March and September, which is known as the foundation phase, a drone can be used to map a field to generate the terrain model. The terrain model is what I've shown before. It can be used to decide on the variable rate seeding, again, which is a derivative of the variable rate technology. A base for the crop height estimates, which you'd use later in the cycle, and efficient GPS, auto steering, and traffic management. So precision agriculture is all about GPS and that traffic management, keeping the tractors going in a straight line, and that straight line, time and time again, if they're going different routes up and down the field, that's going to affect the crop and the potential yield. So if they're following the exact same lines every time, that will reduce damage to crops. You can use a sensor, a near infrared sensor on the drone to assess the soil moisture levels. You can use a drone to plan drainage works. You can map the weeds in February and March, and you can also create field maps for establishment and population. The next phase is the construction phase, which is on a winter crop, is between March and May. This is where you would again map your field again, flying the same an automated route, and to identify the high and low crop health, which I showed you before in the green, yellow, and red, and also areas of dead ground. And you can use this data, you know, to go and visit the fields yourself to get a close-up look, or you can fly, you know, the drone lower down to the ground to see if there's anything in particular. If you've got this data year on year, you'll be able to compare and contrast between the years to see if there is a particular area that is affected every single year, and then act upon that. So again, the field zones and the prescription maps for the variable rate spreading, which I showed you earlier, but this would be the time when you would be creating that. You'd also be crop scouting, which is the drone version of crop walking. So agronomists would walk a field in a zigzag pattern with possibly their phone and a notepad. They'd be taking images and notes of the crops in a particular area. A drone will be able to fly a field, flying down and dropping down to a couple of meters above the crop height, taking high definition photographs. There's applications out there that will analyze the pictures and tell the farmers and the agronomists if there's any disease in there. These flights can be flown every week, every month, and it takes no time at all, and it just improves the productivity of the farmer and the agronomist. Once the fields have been sprayed, you can do another flight to inspect for any misses that have happened because of the sprayer or the fertilizer spreader, and then you can also map the field once again to do stand count calculations. There's platforms out there that allow you to calculate the crops that are being grown. It's very useful for vegetables and fruit and vegetables that are grown outdoors. Between May and June and August, which is the production phase in the arable life cycle, you'd map the canopy cover and the crop height to estimate the biomass and the potential yield. The base map that you took in the earlier part of the year, you'd compare between the two, and you could work out the potential yield there. You'd pre-harvest, you'd map the field to identify problems areas and weed areas, and you'd use that with other maps that you've taken throughout the year. Again, this contrast and compare from maps that you've taken earlier on in the year, and then you can act upon those once the field has been harvested. And finally, the last one would be you'd take harvest photos and videos. Everyone loves a combine harvester for some reason. So just some basic farming stats. There's 17.1 million hectares of agricultural land, which has taken up 71% of land in the UK. Of those 17.1, 6.1 million hectares is croppable land, and within that 3.1 billion hectares is taken up with cereals, of which wheat, which is the largest cereal grown in the UK, takes up 1.7 million hectares, and barley 1.1 million hectares. There's 10 million head of cattle, 5 million pigs, 34 million sheep, and 118 million poultry birds. The average farm size in England is 86 hectares, and there's just short of 500,000 people that are employed in the agricultural workforce in the UK. So after that, are you still interested? So if you're interested in becoming an agricultural drone operator, what you'll need is a permission to offer commercial services in any aspect of the drone sector. You need to have a permission which is granted by the CAA. Currently that's called a PICO, which is a permission for commercial operations, and that is will be changing on 31st of December, where it will become an A2C of C. The PICO, if you pass your PICO before the 31st of December, it will still be valid for 1 year. And many of the training providers, which are approved training provided by the CAA, are offering combined PICO A2C of C courses available. The CAA flyer and operator IDs were introduced last year. For a flyer ID, that's an online exam for both. The flyer ID is for anybody that flies a drone, and the operator ID is for anybody that owns a drone. And it's really a way of identifying actually who owns a drone. So I'm sure you remember the debacle at Gatwick a couple of years ago. If there was a way to identify a drone operator, that would help the authorities. So for you will also need to become either a sole trader or a limited company. The CAA do not grant PICOs to individuals. You'll need drone. Obviously, you'll need a drone and some software. And I would recommend that you purchase a DJI model. Most of the software that's available on the open market will have an integration into DJI. The DJI are the biggest drone manufacturer in the UK, in the world, sorry, and most software is integrated with their models. Finally, you'll really, if you wanted to get into the farming sector, you're going to need knowledge of the farming industry. I think you do really need credibility. Farmers will have been. People have been attempting to sell to farmers for many years, and they don't suffer fools gladly. So if you've got the understanding and the knowledge, I think that will make you stand you in a good position. So that brings you onto the course that I'm offering at the moment. So when I decided to move into drones, I was looking for some kind of course or qualification that would give me the credibility with the farming community. I searched and searched and searched, and I found one course and one training provider in the UK, which was agricultural awareness for UAS operators, which was at the time being offered by Harper Adams, which is Agricultural University in Shropshire. I phoned them, and the course wasn't available because they didn't have anybody to teach it, so they weren't really promoting it. By hook or by crook, I got my qualification, then decided I would look to offer the course myself. Gave me the opportunity really to do further research on the farming industry in the UK. And earlier on in the year, I put the course online, so it's fully accredited and is, to the best of my knowledge, the only one that's available in the UK at the moment. So BASIS are a independent standards and accreditation board. They've been running for about 40 years now. They run multiple schemes and multiple courses. Many of the agronomy courses in the UK are run through BASIS, and it's a well-known qualification or qualifications board within the UK. So really the aim of the course and the Professional UAS Register is to build up a UK-wide network of knowledgeable, capable and credible operators. One thing I think I missed off was once you take the agri awareness course and sit an online multiple choice exam, if you pass, you'll be given the chance to join the Professional UAS Register. The register is actively seeking to forge partnerships with UK leading farming organisations, associations and agri-tech companies, and establishing itself as the leading player in agricultural drones. The register will also give members an opportunity to share knowledge, get advice, equipment and work opportunities. So the course follows a predefined syllabus. It's created by Harper Adams and has a 4th module. So module 1 will cover farming practices and the agricultural supply chain. Module 2 is crops and crop management, including an arable growth life cycle. Module 3 is legislation, health and safety and biosecurity. And module 4 is drone operations, which will cover the calendar and other opportunities outside of arable. I think I've been specific to arable in the examples that I've given, but there are opportunities in other areas, forestry, livestock, all kinds of stuff. There's so many opportunities out there. It just needs to be promoted and pushed out to the end users. What the course won't do, it won't teach how to fly a drone, map a field, or apply algorithms to the captured data. As a member of the register, you'll be invited to join Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, and you'll be able to get that knowledge from your fellow register members. I'm also planning other courses to start early in next year, which will cover that data capture and the analysis and export and such like. So I'm just about finishing up now. So I'm here if anybody would like any advice or help on drones or software or training providers or anything. Those are my details there. Give me a call or send me an email. I'm more than happy to help. And that's about it, really.
Great, thanks very much, John. If you stop sharing your screen, yep, and that's great. And if anybody has some questions, now is the time. And I kind of hope we might have a bit of a discussion. If you have got a question and you'd like to put it to John, then preferably uncloak yourself so he can see who he's talking to. But if you prefer not to, that's absolutely fine. So if anybody's got any questions, please do. Whilst you've been talking, we've been joined by Andrew and Brodie. Thank you very much. And our Indian friend has now left. So if we've got any questions, now is the time.
Hi, John. I have one question real quick.
Yeah.
You said that you use an RGB sensor for the VRTs. Yes. Is there any reason why you wouldn't use an RTK? Because I've been looking at myself and the price difference is extortionate between them.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the maturity of the market, really. As I said earlier, I don't think the farming industry is aware of what can be available right now. The approach that I took when I purchased my drone was that softly, let's go in here and just see what we can do, what the state of the market is. I think that if it just depends how much money you really want to spend. If you've got money burning a hole in your pocket, go out and spend as much money as you want. But if you want to start and build up what you can actually offer, I think an RGB will work sufficiently, which will show the benefits to the end client, the farmer and agronomist, to see what you can actually do. And then it's kind of a case of, right, this is what we can do next. I can go out and get a sensor, but it's really that's the approach that I took. I mean, you can go out and buy a multispectral drone, and that'll cost you £4,000. But I don't know if the market's yet ready for that.
Oh, that's good to know. Oh.
I mean, again, with an RGB, you can use that for multiple things. It's basically a digital camera, so you can do all kinds of stuff. You can do wedding photography, you can do estate agent work, you can do agricultural work, obviously. It's just probably it's probably the best way to get in with just a basic RGB sensor drone, and then take it from there. That's what I would say.
Ah, brilliant. I was a bit dismissed because everyone seems to be harping on about the RTK and multispectral.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you, so when I bought my drone, I kept it in mind that you know, I could go and buy a multispectral drone, but that's probably the only thing that it can do. So I bought an Inspire 2, which is a multi-sensor. It allows you to switch out the sensors, this, that, and the other. So it was a case of establishing myself, what the offer can be, and then it's really, okay, this is what we can do, this is what I can do next. And you don't really want to be going in too early, say, you know, with a really expensive load of kit and saying, okay, this is going to cost you £50 a hectare, because you've got to cover your costs. You've got to make money to cover your costs. Whereas, you know, with a cheaper sensor, you can reduce your costs. You can get it down to that £4.50 a hectare or whatever. So that's just what you've got to keep in mind is get yourself established and then take it from there.
Ah, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, that got us going on some technical stuff that I certainly didn't keep up with. Very cool. Has anyone got a question I might follow? Or, Sam, anything? You look like you were going to say something then. That was
just leaping for the unmute button there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you see the market going, John? Do you think this ends up with a handful of consultants across the country just visiting farms periodically, or you know, how might it develop in the long term, do you think?
No, I think it's going to be, there's going to be a split of that. I think the larger farms will have their own pilots and operators, and I think the smaller, you know, sub 100 hectares will be looking for consultants or companies that can work with. Let me take that one step back. I think that the move towards precision agriculture needs to happen. So I think precision agriculture is going to increase in the coming years. The use of applications where you can input various sources of data and manipulate that data is the way forward. So some farmers will buy their own drones and fly the drones themselves and import the data themselves. Some farmers will start using precision agricultural packages, but not make that purchase of the drone. So they will be looking for drone operators themselves. So that's where I see it's going to be. I think there'll be opportunities throughout the country. I think the area at the moment where it's probably most viable is around arable land, arable farming. So, you know, in East Anglia and the south of the country, where I am, where there's lots of arable land, I think that's where it will, pardon the pun, take off the first. There's startups within the UK that are working on livestock monitoring, so sensors that are attached to cows with a strap on their hind legs. There's a potential that those, you know, radio transmitters could be built into those, and that data could get picked up by a drone flying above it. So I think there's areas throughout the country where precision agriculture and drones will work together. But answering your question, I think it will be a combination of three, really. Farmers who are large farms who will have their own teams, smaller farmers who will have their own drones, who will be inputting it into their precision agricultural packages, and then farmers who will be looking for drone operators to come and fly their fields for them on a regular basis.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Just while we see if anyone else has got anything, I've got one for you, John, if I may. I'm been tracking in the last few years what I think is a great battle for dominance in this space between ground-based autonomous vehicles and drones. You've obviously got a bias, and now you've got a preference and a footed very firmly in one camp. But what's your take on where we are with the ground-based autonomous vehicles that are have the potential to do something very similar to what you've described in terms of contributing towards precision agricultural methods?
Yeah, I mean, yes, there's robots that are coming out right now. There's a company called the Small Robot Company that have just introduced their first robot, which is I think he's called Tom, is the robot, and that is doing that's weed mapping. I think, to be honest with you, I think the agriculture will be moving, as I said, towards precision agriculture, and I think there's a place and a space for both ground-based and aerial-based. I don't think it's exclusive. I think there's a space for both, and for both to work together, to be honest with you. Okay,
because I haven't seen that where there's an integration between drones and ground-based robots. Yeah. Okay, I hadn't seen that. I don't think anybody's doing that yet, are they?
There will be. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but yes, that probably the next big thing in the drone space is aerial spraying. There's teams in the UK that are working on that at the moment to get the permission to start doing that. It's been delayed a couple of times, and that's got nothing to do with Brexit or coronavirus. It's just taking a long time to actually do. So there's drone spraying that's happening already in other parts of the world, South Africa, Australia, places like that. That's coming, but it's just taking a little bit longer than anybody really thought.